So again, for everyone's reference, we have here today the presence of our PNLC officers, the incumbent and the outgoing. And then we also have the PEMSEA Executive Committee. So let me show our screen. So we are pleased to have with us the presence of Mr. Arif Yuono as the chair of the PEMSEA's Executive Committee, our PNLC officers, Dr. Wansuk Senanan as the incumbent president and also the chair of this meeting. And then we have here Dr. Chinhua Fang as the incumbent vice president, and then Dr. Yon Wittner as the incoming president. And then we have here 8 of our PNLC members from different countries. And then we also have here as observers other PEMSEA learning centers and RCOEs. And then we have here State Key Laboratory of Marine Pollution, formerly Merit. This is a former RCOE in marine pollution, and they are currently waiting for their formal redesignation as RCOE, considering the reorganization of their institute from Merit to SKLMP. Their formal redesignation will be processed during the 14th East Asian Seas Partnership Council meeting this July. And they will be presenting later on, as will be explained by Dr. Wansuk, their training opportunities for the next 5 years in collaboration with PNLC. We are also joined by our Ministry of Environment and Forestry, Indonesia, as represented by Arif Yuono as the Senior Advisor to the Minister for Foreign Cooperation, and his colleague, Irene Aditya Yunarti. Welcome on board, everyone. This is Karen C., again, the Secretariat Coordinator of PRF as the Interim Secretariat for the PNLC as we await the formal establishment or hosting of the designated Secretariat. Now, before we officially begin the meeting, I think it would be nice to see everyone's faces. Can we call on each institution perhaps? Starting from Burafa University. Can you wave your hand to the camera, please? Dr. Wansuk. Okay. Good morning. And then, okay, we also have here from Cavite State University, Professor Noel Cedigo, the campus administrator of one of the campuses, and then Dr. Lilibet Novicio, the chairperson of the Department of Forestry and Environmental Science. Good morning.
Morning.
Okay, welcome on board. Dr. Lilibet Novicio here is a new face to the PNLC. Okay, and then we also have here the Center for Coastal and Marine Resources Studies of IPB University, where Dr. Yon Wittner is from. He is also joined by his colleagues, Dr. Aryo Damar, a member of the advisory board of the center, and also Isda Hartati, one of the researchers of the centers. Good morning, Paaryo, Isda.
Morning, Karen. Good morning, everyone. Nice to meet you again.
Okay, and then we also have here from Coastal and Ocean Management Institute of Xiamen University, China, where Dr. Fang is currently affiliated. And then we have De La Salle Lipa, Philippines, Professor Padura. Hello, good morning.
Good morning,
And then,
everyone.
good morning. Okay. All right. So next up, we have the Royal University of Phnom Penh, Cambodia, represented by Professor Hoy as the head of the Department of Natural Resource Management and Development. And then University of the Philippines, Visayas, Professor Marie Frances Nievales as Associate Professor of the Division of Biological Sciences, Francis. And then we have here from Xavier University, Ateneo de Cagayan, Philippines. We are also joined here by a newcomer, Professor Maria Jordana Olano, as the officer in charge of the biology department. And then for our, good morning, Professor Olano. And then for our observers, we have, please show your faces on the screen. We have here Marine Science Institute of the University of the Philippines, Dr. Laura David as the director. Prince of Songkla University, Dr. Sakanan Platong, the director of the Marine Science Learning Center, and Dr. Ho Hong Thuyen from University of Da Nang, Vietnam. And then, of course, let's not forget, we have here our colleagues from the State Key Laboratory of Marine Pollution in the City University of Hong Kong, Professor Kenneth Leong as the director with his colleagues. And then finally, again, we have the Ministry of Environment and Forestry, Indonesia, represented by our East Asian Seas Partnership Council Chair, Arif Yuwono, and his colleague, Irene Aditya Yunyarti. Good morning,
Hello.
everyone.
Good morning. Yes.
Good morning, everyone. So, PEMSEA Resource Facility will be serving as the meeting secretariat for this. And we have also the presence here of Amy Gonzalez, the Executive Director of PRF. Then, with that said, can we convene everyone for a group photo, please, before we officially begin the program? Okay. On your mark, June.
Okay, everyone, please open your camera. We will take our multiple shots. Okay, 1, 2, 3, smile. Another one. One, 2, 3, smile. Thank you.
Thank you, June, for those group photos. Now we proceed to the start of the meeting. I would like to call on our chair, Dr. Wansuk Senanan, for her opening remarks and to officially begin today's General Assembly. Over to you, Dr. Wansuk.
Thank you, Karen, and good morning, everyone. The chair of PEMSEA Executive Committee, the Executive Director, PEMSEA, colleagues in the PEMSEA Network of Learning Centers, and allied institutions. Welcome you all to this very important meeting, the second PNLC General Assembly, and thanks for taking your time to join us today. Today's event marks a very important step in formalizing our network of learning centers. We have signed the charter last December, and that was very successful, and inaugurated the formal process of the charter at the first PNLC General Assembly in February of this year. And we had gone through an election process for the incoming officers. And today we will proceed with the formal welcome and taking position of this new officers. And so it is a great opportunity for this event. Now I'd like to proceed with our agenda today, and I'd like to for us to review and approve the agenda today. We have, Karen will present to us the election outcomes, and we've been sort of solicit votes from members since February of this year. And then we'll proceed with the oath taking, and the new officers give acceptance speeches. The PRF will review the PNLC Code of Conduct. And then that's sort of the end of the formal process of oath taking of new officers. But then we'll have some presentation from our former regional center of excellence to present the training opportunities for the next 5 years. And then the new new president will provide us with the next steps. So I'd like you to review and accept or approve this agenda before we proceed. So anyone, any comments? So we all approve the agenda, correct?
I move for the approval of the agenda as presented.
Okay, thank you. Thank you. So now I'll turn the floor back to, let's see, Ms. Karen C.
Okay, thank you, Dr. Wanso.
Present
Now
the
we
outcome
will.
of the elections.
Okay, thank
Thank
you,
you.
Ms. Chair. Okay. So with this, I would like to move on to the process and results of the recent or ongoing rather 2022 PNLC elections. As you may recall, everyone, Article 9 of our PNLC Charter states that the affairs of the network shall be administered by a president and vice president, both of whom will be nominated and elected by the General Assembly and serve as the chair and vice chair, respectively, of the General Assembly. So we have here a three-stage process, beginning with the nominations that commenced last March 16. And then we have a series of consultations and shortlisting that occurred from May 9 to June 2. And then I will present to you the results of this process. We have 5 candidates, 2 for president and then 3 for vice president. We have as candidates for president, Dr. Yon Wittner of IPB University and Dean Romaldo da Costa Jimenez of Oriental University of Timor-Leste or UNITAL. And then for vice president, we have Dr. Fang as the incumbent vice president of PNLC and also affiliated with Comi of Xiamen University. And then Mr. Mateus Salvador of Oriental University of Timor-Leste. And then Dr. Camposano of UP Visayas. Based on the results, Dr. Yon Wittner and Dr. Fang have received the highest and actually the majority votes for each of their respective positions, hereby declaring them as the successful candidates based on the shortlisting period. Dr. Yon Wittner is currently the director of the Center for Coastal and Marine Resources Studies of IPB University. He has a PhD in Coastal Resources Management in IPB University and had his postdoctoral degree in the University of Girona, Spain. His research interests show the interlinkages between science and policy. He focuses on marine pollution, fisheries biology, population dynamics and management, and coastal and marine resource management. He has a number of papers, working papers, and also peer-reviewed articles in various journals in Indonesia and worldwide. And his professional career spans leadership positions in IPB, whether it is in the rector's office in matters regarding disaster studies and management, agro-maritime collaboration, student affairs, and alumni operations, to positions at the national or subnational level. And these are affairs related to integrated coastal management, fisheries management, seafood eco-labeling, mangroves, and maritime investments. So just to cite a number of these positions, he was involved as the Deputy Director of Collaboration in IP University, Head of the Rector's Office of IPB, also the university's Head of Center for Disaster Studies, and also the coordinator of student affairs and advocacy for alumni for fisheries. And then at the national level, just to cite a few examples, he is one of the experts on the monitoring evaluation part for the development of the National Fisheries Industrial Development Plan of the Ministry of Maritime and Investment of Indonesia. And he was also a Maritime Investment Ministry coordinator for Indonesia. And then he is also Deputy Secretary General for the Indonesia Mangrove Society. These are just some samples of his current and previous positions in his engagement as Director of the Center for Coastal and Marine Resources Studies in IPB University. Then we move on to Dr. Fang Chinhua as the incoming Vice President. Currently, he is the incumbent Vice President of the PNLC, and this will be his second term as Vice President. He is also the Deputy Director of the Coastal and Ocean Management Institute of Xiamen University, and also a concurrent professor in the university, and a Deputy Secretary General of the Secretariat of the PEMSEA Network of Local Governments. Education-wise, he has a PhD and postdoctoral degree in marine affairs in Xiamen University. This is a cross-cutting discipline in the university. And he was also a visiting scholar for the Center for Ocean Policy of the University of Delaware of USA, and was also one of the visiting fellows of PEMSEA. His research interests vary from marine science and policy to marine spatial planning and environmental systems assessment. Professionally, he was engaged, similar to Payon, in a number of national or subnational projects, this time focusing on environmental impact assessment, marine policy, and ecosystem service assessment. Just to cite a number of his engagements currently and in the past, he was, for instance, involved in a watershed non-point source pollution control and policy analysis, and then also evaluation of environmental effects of coastal development activities in Fujian province in China, and then also research on integrated methods of quantifying ecological compensation standards for watershed hydropower development, and a number of other related government projects in his line of research interests as commissioned by the national and subnational government instrumentalities. With that, I would like to give the floor to Madam Chair for the oath taking. Madam Chair, over to you.
Thank you. And I'd like to congratulate both Dr. Jan Wittner and Dr. Fang for their new positions. Now I'd like to proceed with the oath taking process. First, I'd like to invite Dr. Jan Wittner, the incoming president, for the oath taking. Dr. Jan Wittner, could you raise your right hand and face the camera and repeat after myself? I state your name.
I am Jan Wittmer,
Hereby elected as, state your position of the PEMSEA Network of Learning Centers.
hereby elected as president of the PEMSEA Network of Learning Center.
Hereby solemnly swear and undertake to exercise in all loyalty, discretion, and conscience.
Hereby solemnly swear and undertake to exercise in loyalty, discretion, and conscience
the functions entrusted to me and to discharge these functions to the best of my ability.
the function entrusted to me and to discharge this function to the best of my ability,
and to regulate my conduct with the interest of the East Asian Seas region and the network in view.
and to regulate my conduct with the interests of the East Asian Seas region and network in view.
Thank you, Dr. Jan Wittner. That's conclude the oath taking. Now, I'd like to invite you to sign the PNLC oath of office, and then we'll take a photo. Let's see.
Okay, Dr. Jan Wittner, may we invite you to remove your virtual background so we can see your signed oath of office. All right. Then you may proceed to show your signed oath of office beside you. May I call on our IT expert, June, to proceed with the oath taking. Okay.
Okay. 1, 2, 3. Smile. And another one. 1, 2, 3. Smile. Okay.
Thank you so much, Dr. Jan Wittner.
Thank you very much. Next, I'd like to invite Dr. Fang Chinhua, our Vice President. And please state after myself. So you here? Okay, please raise your right hand and face the camera. Thank you. I state your name.
I, Fan Qinghua,
Hereby elected as state your position of the PEMSEA network of learning centers.
hereby elected as Vice President of the PNLC Network of Learning Centers.
Hereby solemnly swear and undertake to exercise in all loyalty, discretion, and conscience
Hereby solemnly swear and undertake to exercise in all loyalty, discretion, and conscience
the functions entrusted to me and to discharge these functions to the best of my ability.
the functions entrusted to me and to discharge this function to the best of my ability,
And to regulate my conduct with the interest of the East Asian Seas region and the network in view.
and to regulate my conduct with the interest of the East Asian Seas region and the network in view.
Well, thank you. Now I invite you to sign the oath of office. Thank you, and let's take a moment for this photo opportunity.
Okay. On the count of 3. 1, 2, 3. Smile. And another one. 1, 2, 3. Smile. Thank you.
Thank you. And now I like to invite, thank you both of you for that process. Now I'd like to invite Dr. Jan Wittner, the incoming president, to give acceptance speech, please.
Thank you very much, Dr. Wang Suk. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. A regard from Prague. Sorry, a little bit joined this morning just to make sure my connection in Prague hotel. And as incoming of the PNLC president, I would like to say the Honorable of PEMSEA Chair, Director Executive of PRF, Deputy Director, and all of PRF staff, working group and expert representative from PNLG and PNLC member, incumbent PNLC president and vice president, elected vice president PNLC, Dr. Fang, and all of the participants are PNLC member of General Assembly today. It's a big honor for me when our Center for Coastal and Marine Resource Study, IPB University, is trusted to be the president of PNLC for period 2022 until 2025. I also congratulate to Professor Dr. Fang Jinhua, were also elected as Vice President of PNLC for period 2022-2025. Being elected as President of LNC, I realize that it's not easy task since President is a locomotive of the organization. Hence, the presidents play important role for the successful running of an organization. The success of organization, in fact, depend on the support and strong cooperation with vice president and all of the member of the organization. This true as well of for PNLC. Hence, we invite active participant, all of member of PNLC in our next 3 years period. Let's make our PNLC organization as home for all of our activity. The main indicator of the success full of PNLC is the number of approach and tool as well as advocation which have been adopted and implemented by coastal community in addressing various coastal and marine environmental and social problems. As ultimate goal, PNLC should be able to facilitate the local community and government through a scientific approach in dealing with existing problems and able to improve local community welfare. Participation of the Center for Coastal and Marine Resource Studies in PEMSEA program, including PNLC, has been started since beginning into 20 with the active involvement of Professor Rahmin Dahuri, Professor Tidoyo, which was then continued by Dr. Luki and also Professor Aryo Damar. The Center for Coastal and Marine Research Study has been playing very significant role in promoting and implementing ICM in Indonesia since 1996. Allowing ICM has been used as common and basic approach for sustainable development in our coastal and marine area. I would like to express my sincere thanks to Professor Aryo Damar, PNLC First Chairs, 2016, 2018, and Dr. Wansuk Senanam, President of PNLC, 2019, 2021. Since Prof. Aryo until Dr. Wansuk era, PNLC is able to play important role in facilitating of implementation scientific approach and methodology tools within our local community and local government in region of East Asia. Many problems have been carried out, but we cannot stop here because every time the risk and threat to coastal and marine area continue to increase. We should be able to deal with such environmental problem, but at the same time, we should be able to improve the local community. Based on this, as the elected president, I offer to my program for PNLC 2022-2025. The first is to mind specific program of PNLC, and the second is the merge program as contribution of the PNLC member. Main program among our annual workshop of PNLC member, training of trainer, semester or annual publication and joint workshop of PNLC and PNLG. Annual workshop of PNLC member in the form of the sharing session and lesson learned from each PNLC member. This lesson learned and sharing are in the form of a presentation of each PNLC member as their experience when they applying their approach assisting local government, PNLG, in addressing to ICM problem. The sharing session will be show the technical assistance process given by PNLG in each country or project location and assistance. The success story of the PNLC member will be certainly become to benchmark and inspiration for the PNLG member as well as effort to upgrade the PNLC capacity. Training of trainer, part of the effort to strengthening capacity of the PNLC and PNLG as well as our cooperation partner countries. Currently, capacity building in climate change adaptation in regional is among a priority to be conducted. In case of Indonesia, currently, each province required to have ability to assess economic from carbon and ability to control, including our coastal area. Many of our coastal area is facing threats as tidal wave, soil intrusion, ecosystem degradation, disaster, and quality of people life. Furthermore, annual publication in the form of the methodology development book, scientific tool, instrument from PNLC member become new approach guidance for community. Match program are the program that have been developed in each learning center in each country can be shared with the others PNLC. For example, Center for Coastal has routinely carried out the port shipping logistic training program, biannual scientific conference on coastal and marine economic evaluation, training, coastal environmental sensitivity index training, fisheries sustainability institute, Coastal Blue Carbon Initiative, School of the Other Activity Related Coastal Management Program. This program can be shared to the other PNLC as part of regional capacity building program. The key success of PNLC is the near coming further is cooperation, communication between PNLC countries through the communication media for PNLC member, which will be able to strengthening the PNLC member in each country. So that's President and Vice President, me and Dr. Fang need support from PNLC member to work mutual together to prepare member progress, mutual increasing knowledge, and our contribution to local government, strengthening the spirit, move forward together, work from our coastal and marine communities in you very much.
Thank you, Dr. Jan Bittner. Very, very promising future of the PNLC. Now I'd like to invite Dr. Fang for his acceptance speech. I'll give the floor to Dr. Fang, please.
Thank you, Ms. Chair. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Today, I humbly take office of the Vice President of PNLC. During my tenure, I will fulfill the trust placed in me by all PNLC members. I wish to take this opportunity to express my heartfelt gratitude to Dr. Wansu Senana for relentless effort have laid down a solid foundation for the development of PNLC in the past, including the first overseas campus in Malaysia established by the University of Mainland China. So the establishment of COMI in Xiamen University was another example of the cooperation in this region. supported by PNLC and the governments of China, POMI was established to address the complex issues we are facing of the coastal development in the 2005. So in the past 17 years, POMI has been devoted to promote interdisciplinary research on ocean and coastal management based on its more than 50 adjunct faculties from various schools of Xiamen University, such as School of Law, School of Public Affairs, School of Economic, School of Management, College of the Oceanography and Earth Science, as well as College of the Environment and Ecology. So POMI also aimed to bridge science to management based on its earliest and very strong ocean-related research. POMI has provided science and technology support for the society, particularly the ICM implementation and the practice in Xiamen, leading Xiamen ICM to many international awards. And POMI has educated talent to meet the needs of the integrated coastal management in this region of Seas of East Asia, including several hundred officers and the students of marine affairs from this region. Marine affairs has enrolled more than 240 students, among which there are more than 80 international students. Most of them are from this region and Africa. So POMI was thus recognized by PNLC as the Regional Center of Excellence in 2020. In the future, POMI will continue to focus its research on global ocean governance, ocean development strategy and policy, marine economic, marine and environmental law, coastal and ocean management, coastal marine environmental and ecosystem health, and ocean carbon management, etc., and to promote international cooperation with other partners for the coastal sustainable development of this region. So today I've been sworn into office together with President Dr. Jan Wittner from IPB University. I trust we will work together harmoniously and dedicate ourselves to serving all PNLC members. So PNLC is a unique and important platform for Seas of East Asia. In the next 3 years, we hope the more and more institutions will join us together so that PNLC will grow bigger. Not only the number, but also the impact of PNLC will also increase through actively leading the development of the coastal sustainable development. And I also hope PNLC and the other important network of local government, PNLG, will work more closely in the future years on jointly organizing capacity building activities such as training workshops, developing good practices of blue economy, and further upscaling ICM actions, etc. So I believe with our concerted efforts, the future of PNLC will be more successful in a road to the coastal sustainable development of this region under the guidance of the SDS SEA. So finally, I would like to take this chance to invite you all to visit POMI when situation allows, and looking forward to meeting you soon in Xiamen. So thank you very much.
Well, thank you very much, Dr. Fang. This concludes the formal oath-taking process. I hereby declare Dr. Jan Wittner as president and Dr. Fang as the vice president of the PNLC. Now, before moving on to the next item on the agenda, which is the PNLC Code of Conduct, I'd like to take this opportunity to thank both Dr. Jan Wittner and Dr. Fang for taking the position I am grateful for their commitment and looking forward to the exciting collaboration opportunities under your leadership. I believe that your expertise and strong academic track records of both universities will take this network to the next level. And I'm really looking forward to our work together in the near future. Now I would like to give the floor to Karen to go over the PNLC Code of Conduct.
Madam Chair, before Karen
Okay.
presents the PNLC Code of Conduct, I would just also like to express our thanks on behalf of the PEMSEA Resource Facility as well as the PNLC Executive Committee. I would like to thank Burafa University, especially Dr. Paparsiri Barnett, who I don't think is here today, and also Dr. Wansuk Senanan for shepherding the process of evolving the network's evolution from on knowledge 15 learning centers which created together as a PEMSEA network of learning centers to for local knowledge and capacity development as the PEMSEA's local knowledge and capacity development partners in 2015 to implement the scaling up of the SDSC project, which was started in 2016 up to 2020, and also to help with the local adaptation and implementation of ICM policies and practices. So with their guidance, especially Dr. Wansuk, we have been able to evolve and have our own charter. The Learning Center has its own charter now, which, as Dr. Fang has mentioned, gives us a solid foundation to be a regional force to reckon with, side by side with the PEMSEA network of local governments and the PEMSEA Partnership Council as well, and of course the Secretariat. So it's a unique and important platform, and actually 4 platforms together makes us a very strong regional ocean governance mechanisms. So I would like to thank you for all your service also the past 3 years, and please extend our thanks to Burapa and to Dr. Paparsiri. This is quite special, significant, since Thailand is not a formal country partner of PEMSEA, but through the work of the university, Burapa University, and actually Prince of Songkla, Thailand has become, a collaborator also of the work in the region, which is quite important and significant. So again, thank you, Sawadika. Over to Karen for the Code of Conduct. Pa Arif, did you want to say something also? Sorry, Karen. I think Pa Arif. You are on mute, Pa Arif?
Yes.
Pa Arif, you're still on mute.
Okay. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay. Good morning, everyone. We have just witnessed the oath-taking ceremony and the acceptance speeches of Dr. John Fitter and Dr. Fang Xinhua as the incoming president and incoming vice president of PNLC, respectively. I say congratulations. Welcome to the big family of PEMSEA, although both of you have been around, for years as a member of PNLC. I believe under the leadership of Dr. John Fitter and Dr. Fang, PNLC with its competency and a long experience in the field of training, education, research development, and public outreach, supported by PEMSEA Research Facility, headed by Ms. Amy Gonzalez, in partnership with the country and non-country partners, as well as other stakeholders, will be able to manage successfully to various problems and challenges such as climate change, marine biodiversity loss, and marine plastic pollution in the seas of East Asia region, as well as at the global level, so that PEMSEA can achieve its vision, healthy ocean people and economies, while contributing the solution to the various global problems. Thank you, Dr. Wansuk Senanan, the outgoing chair of PNLC, and her team, your team. PEMSEA will never forget your dedication, hard work. Hopefully, we can continue to work together in the near future. Thank you very much.
Okay, with the formal conclusion of our agenda item on the 2022 PNLC elections, I would like to move now the discussion to the PNLC Code of Conduct. Okay. So as part of the meeting documents that was shared to our PNLC members last week, we have sent the draft PNLC Code of Conduct. This is the first draft, and as everyone may recall, Article 5, particularly paragraphs 4 to 5 of the PNLC Charter state that the Executive Committee of the PNLC will develop the Code of Conduct and have the same approved by the General Assembly within 1 year from the signing of the Charter. The Code of Conduct provides the standards for professional conduct in every major field of operation of the PNLC, with the end goal of guiding the smooth and efficient operations of the network in implementing the Shared Regional Strategy or Sustainable Development Strategy for the Seas of East Asia, or SDS-SEA. It was patterned with appropriate amendments after the Code of Ethics for PRF personnel, as well as the codes of conduct for several associations and universities. The PNLC Code of Conduct will be approved by the General Assembly once it has been consulted with all relevant authorities. This Code of Conduct will apply to all PNLC member institutions that have signed the PNLC Charter. Specifically, it will apply to all individuals who are and who will be engaged in training and capacity development activities of PEMSEA, PNLC, or PNLG, and or SDS-SEA or PEMSEA related initiatives. Through the approval of this code, all concerned individuals at the collective, institutional, or individual level commit to uphold the legal, professional, and ethical standards or principles espoused in this code as basis for their duties in relation to PNLC, whether on the academic or professional front, depending on the situation of the individuals concerned. Now, in cases where the concerned individuals are subjected to other relevant instruments, for instance, national or subnational laws, policies, or standards, or perhaps even policies of their respective universities or institutions, the code will apply to the highest extent possible without contradicting these instruments. Now, this code of conduct has various guiding principles. It is guided by the concept of due diligence, objectivity, cooperation, impartiality, social inclusion, integrity, truthfulness, data transparency, professionalism, a conducive learning and work environment as enabling conditions, environmental sustainability, financial prudence, and accountability, all of which I will explain in depth later as I show the draft itself. Bear in mind that the code also has provisions on the treatment of violations and the effectivity amendment and the interpretation of the code. The action being requested from the General Assembly before I go into the in-depth discussion of the PNLC Code of Conduct is to provide preliminary comments on the draft code. Again, This is just to seek initial comments and suggestions from our PNLC members who are with us today, considering that this code of conduct will likely need to be consulted with other offices and possibly even the respective legal teams of our PNLC members. Our goal, as mentioned a while ago, is to have this code of conduct approved before December 2022, considering that the PNLC charter was signed last December 1, and it is our deadline to approve this code of conduct within 1 year of the charter's signing. So with that said, I would like to move now to the actual draft of the PNLC code of conduct. I will just change my screen. Okay, so I have already mentioned a while ago the application and scope of the PNLC charter. I shall move now to the guiding principles. So beginning with Section 5, focusing on due diligence, objectivity, and cooperation. So where needed, PNLC members must conduct due diligence and consult, coordinate, and collaborate with the relevant authorities and stakeholders, whether this is within or outside the PNLC, to perform their PNLC-related roles and functions and help ensure proper understanding of and compliance with the PNLC Charter and Code of Conduct and other relevant instruments. So in practicing due diligence, it is important to observe objectivity and use evidence-based data wherever possible. And only individuals who have been delegated with the proper authority may enter into resolutions, agreements, or obligations within or outside the PNLC on behalf of their PNLC member institution. The same applies to entering financial transactions on behalf of their PNLC member institutions. Likewise, only authorized personnel of these institutions may decide on matters raised during the General Assemblies of the PNLC. And in fulfilling official duties, PNLC members or their representatives must make decisions with the PNLC's interest in mind while considering other pertinent factors and stakeholders. Another principle, guiding principle of the Code of Conduct is impartiality and social inclusion. So to the extent possible in the performance of official duties, PNLC members must provide equal opportunities for all individuals regardless of background or nature. And shall act with understanding, sensitivity, and respect for all individuals. Nonetheless, while this may be the case, PNLC members must observe impartiality. They must ensure that any expression of personal views and convictions does not compromise or appear to compromise the performance of their official duties. They must also not act in any way that could lead to actual or perceived preferential treatment for or against particular individuals, groups, or interests. Another guiding principle, as explained in Section 7 of the Code of Conduct, is integrity, truthfulness, and data transparency. PNLC members must act with integrity and truthfulness and refrain from conducting any deceptive, fraudulent, or corrupt acts. In this regard, concerned parties with any non-PNLC related obligations or interests that have any conflict of interest in doing their official duties must disclose them to the relevant authorities, such as in the case of entering into contracts for any project-related concerns or joint undertakings within the PNLC. And to manage these conflicts, if ever allowed by the authorities in accordance with other provisions of the PNLC Charter and Code of Conduct, as well as other risk measures that may be put in place by the relevant authorities and stakeholders. In this case, as we can see, the risk measures is on a case-to-case basis and nothing set in stone. It will depend upon consultation with the relevant authorities. We also have here provisions regarding the use of PNLC resources. There must be authorization rather, for utilizing such resources. They must not use the authority and resources bestowed onto them in any manner deemed illegal, unethical, or unprofessional. And by the same token, PNLC members must not solicit or accept gifts, honors, favors, and or other benefits from persons or any entities that have past, current, or prospective engagements with any PNLC member unless the monetary value in question is insignificant and receiving them shall not bring into question their integrity and impartiality in decision making. Another thing to note when it comes to ensuring integrity in decision-making matters is that expediency must not compromise integrity in the performance of official duties. Where needed, PNLC members must also make timely, complete, and accurate disclosure of any significant or relevant information subject to prevailing rules on data privacy at the national and institutional levels in the performance of PNLC roles or functions. So while we advocate for data transparency, we also have to ensure that we follow all existing and relevant rules on data privacy. This provision is in connection to that particular caveat. We must bear in mind to consider and not disclose any sensitive or private information. PNLC members are prohibited from using the powers, functions, and resources that are exclusively associated with their engagement as PNLC members after leaving the network, either as an institution or at the individual level. And by the same line of thought, the concerned party must return all PNLC-owned resources and sensitive or private information unless an exemption has been granted. Then, on the matter of professionalism, PNLC members must exercise discretion and professionalism in conducting their roles and functions in a manner befitting their status as members of a regional consortium. It is also important for PNLC to promote a conducive learning and work environment for its members. To the extent possible, PNLC members must provide a conducive environment for learning and work for its students and personnel by protecting the health, safety, intellectual property rights, and other human rights of their students and personnel within the institution's campus grounds or workplace, and helping provide the enabling conditions to support academic and professional growth and mental well-being. Again, this is subject to other relevant laws, policies, and standards, whether it is at the national, subnational, or university level. And then in terms of environmental sustainability, another enabling condition, where possible, PNLC members must leave minimal or no ecological footprint in the performance of their PNLC roles and functions. And then on matters of financial, PNLC members must observe prudent financial management in their stewardship or use of PNLC-related funds. Then, on matters of accountability, PNLC members should be accountable for the proper discharge of their functions and their decisions and actions with regard to the PNLC, and shall submit themselves to constructive scrutiny as required by their position. Now, we also have here a number of provisions on addressing violations. Where actions are found to have occurred that violate the PNLC Charter and Code of Conduct, the concerned PNLC member institution, and as needed, the network as a whole will take prompt action to cease the offending conduct, prevent its recurrence, and discipline or punish those responsible for the said violent acts. As you can see by this statement, it means that any cases of violation will be addressed first at at the institution level. It will only need to be brought up to the network when needed. So for instance, to expound on this particular point, any individual or entity who belongs to or is external to the PNLC may report any suspected violation of the PNLC Charter and Code of Conduct to the concerned immediate professors, advisor, supervisor, or contact point within the PNLC member institution. No need to raise the case to the higher level authorities, in this case, the PNLC Executive Committee immediately, if this can be resolved within the institution level. So if for any reason this action is considered inappropriate or counterproductive, or there is a conflict of interest to report the suspected violations to any of the persons mentioned, or the reporting party feels uncomfortable reporting to the above-mentioned persons, or the case is considered severe, it is only then that the reporting entity may raise the case to higher level management within the concerned PNLC member institution or the PNLC Secretariat or PRF. Note that while concerns may be reported anonymously, it's easier to investigate cases of violation or non-compliance if more information is made available. Now, I will not go into the details of the treatment of violations, but we have here a number of punitive actions or disciplinary measures depending on the severity of the case. Should the case be brought to the level of the PNLC Secretariat or PRF, the case will be forwarded to the attention of the PNLC officers for appropriate action. Now, should the proposed next step or punishment involve the termination of cooperative agreements between the violating institution and PRF or PEMSEA-related partner, and or the removal of the same institute from the PNLC, the case shall be brought to the attention of the General Assembly for appropriate action. Outside of these matters, the case of disciplinary measures can be dealt with discreetly or internally. Now, without prejudice to the above-mentioned paragraphs, the reporting party can also forward the case to other relevant authorities and stakeholders for appropriate administrative action, subject to the protocols of these authorities and stakeholders, and to any court of law for appropriate legal action, subject to the laws, rules, and standards of the countries concerned. Now, all PNLC members, in cases of violations, are expected to cooperate fully in the investigation of potential cases of violation or non-compliance. We prohibit any retaliation against any reporting party who in good faith reports or provides information about cases of violation or non-compliance. Bear in mind that any false accusations made with the intent of harming or retaliating against another person may subject the reporting party to consequences imposed by the PNLC institution or a court of law or other relevant authorities and stakeholders. And again, as mentioned, we have here provisions on the effectivity, amendment, and interpretation of the Code of Conduct. The Code of Conduct will remain valid unless the General Assembly recommends its revocation or amendment in consultation with PRF. And any proposed amendment to this code, in part or in whole, will be submitted in writing prior to the conduct of a General Assembly and will be deliberated on and adopted in full or in part during a General Assembly. Now, in cases of ambiguity in the language of the code, members may resort to the basic rules of construction and the proceedings of relevant discussions or deliberations of the PNLC to determine the original intent behind the provision. The legal interpretation of this particular provision will be decided upon in a meeting of the General Assembly. And that concludes the detailed explanation of the draft PNLC Code of Conduct. Over to you, Madam Chair.
Thank you, Karen. And as I understand it, this draft will be can be revised and or improved based on members' comments. So I'd like to invite any comments on the draft at this point, and we could also we will ask members to review the draft in consultation with their respective institutions, also on the content. But the important deadline for returning the feedback would be 25th of July, right, Karen?
Yes.
Okay, so any comments at this point on the draft, or any thoughts? And if not, we'll have time until before 25th of July 2022 to provide feedback. And that, you know, the feedback will be incorporated to finalize the draft to be approved by December 2022 as mandated by the charter. So it will come back for approval again in a meeting before the end of this year.
Yes. On that note, Madam Chair, there is no need for the PNLC to convene for a meeting, formal meeting. The approval of the code of conduct can be done through email as long as we receive the majority approval of our PNLC members.
Okay, Karen, thank you.
We can also take this opportunity to address any questions from our members on the draft code of conduct. If not, definitely PRF can entertain those questions, comments, or feedback through email. We encourage everyone, as mentioned by Madam Chair, to submit comments and suggestions by the indicated deadline. And this is July 25. Monday.
Okay, let's see. Right, so, okay, so let's, if there's no urgent questions at this point, I will now move to the next item on the agenda. And it is, you know, we are having a redesignation of regional center of excellence coming up. So let me introduce this institution, the State Key Laboratory of Marine Pollution, and they would like to present the training opportunities for the next 5 years. First, I'd like to introduce our speaker for this session, Professor Kenneth Liang of the State Key Laboratory of Marine Pollution. Let's see. So let me provide a little bit of background. The Center of Marine Environmental Research and Innovative Technology of Merit of the City University of Hong Kong was a PEMSEA regional center of excellence in marine pollution. And, you know, for the meeting in at the end of this month, right? So today and tomorrow, there's a attempt to redesignate the institution to be the PEMSEA Regional Center of Excellence as a part of PEMSEA Network of Learning Center. So I will now give the floor to Professor Liang to introduce us with some training opportunities. That I'll turn the floor to Professor Liang.
Thank you, Professor Wang Shu, the chair lady. Good morning, everyone. May I share my screen first? Can you see my screen?
Yes,
Yes.
Professor Leong.
Thank you, Karen. So once again, I would like to congratulate Professor Jan Vikla and also Professor Fang being elected as a president and vice president of the PNLC. So today I'm really thankful to PEMSEA, especially the Director General, Amy, for inviting us to give this presentation. So in this presentation, I'm going to give you a background about our laboratory. The chair lady already mentioned this briefly, then I will tell you a little bit more. And then we will tell you about the history behind the story, the relationship between our laboratory and PEMSEA. And then I will then introduce the training opportunities. Finally, I will briefly introduce our UN Decades of Ocean Science program. Our State Key Laboratory of Marine Pollution is based at the City University of Hong Kong. It is a relatively young university in the world, only 29 years old. But we are doing quite well in the world. Based on the QS university ranking, we are number 54 this year in the world. And also for the young university less than 50 years old, we are ranked number 4 in the world. So we are very good in technology and science as well. So back to 2004, our State Key Lab was formed previously as the Center of Marine Environmental Research and Innovative Technologies, led by Professor Rudolph Wu. So he created this area of excellence by compiling 25 experts from 6 universities in Hong Kong and also 10 experts from overseas to join us. And then we have been doing really well. The government gave us about 10 million US dollar to establish this center. And during the process, we believe that knowledge transfer and knowledge exchange are very important in the world, especially in this region. So then we put resources to organize training workshops in different places and also regularly organize summer training course in Hong Kong and also Xiamen University. I would like to highlight an important fact that you can see Professor Hong Hua Shen at the back. Let me see the pointer. Professor Hong Hua Shen, the leader in Xiamen University. So she and Professor Wu were very good friends. When we have a chance to be upgraded from the merit to State Key Laboratory of Marine Pollution, the China government asked us when we do the application, we have to find a partnership institution, State Key Lab in China. So we partner with the MEL of Xiamen, the Marine Environmental Science State Key Lab in Xiamen University. Then we submit the application in 2007, and then by the end of 2009, the Ministry of Science and Technology of the Chinese government approved our status as the State Key Lab. And then we have a formal opening in the 2010. This photo was taken in the formal opening in 2010. So a years ago, we end the 10 years anniversary. So our team become bigger and stronger. Now we have 8 universities in Hong Kong joining us. We have over 50 core members and over 100 supporting staff and over 200 PhD students in our group. So we aim to be a major international research center in advancing marine environmental research that contributes to the protection and management of the marine environment and generates positive impact to the society. So then we have a three key mission. One, to protect marine environments through high quality research and innovation. And two, train and nurture young scientists and manager entrepreneurs in the region, and to support our government, Chinese central government, and also the rest of the world. And we gather many experts together, try to tackle the global grand challenge, such as listed above. Then we create solution and also positive impacts together. So that's why we actually partner with PEMSEA. We try to build help the building of capacity and also try to share our knowledge and experience with people in the regions to advance the science and also the management in the region. So in terms of the key area of research, we have three areas. We call it 3TREE. The first one is technology, innovative technology for pollution monitoring and control. Second one is about eco-safety and environmental risk assessment. Then the third one is about ecosystem response and ecological restoration. Then I will give you some example here. The first one, we have been developing various weapon detection technology for pollution monitoring. For example, we have a genetic modified E-system to monitor different heavy metals, for example, zinc and silver. Then we can get a very sensitive result and a very rapid detection. Within a few minutes, you can get the answer. Instead of taking water sample and then go through a very tedious laboratory procedure using ICP-MS or AA to run the analysis, it may take several hours to 1 day. For our new technology, you just need a few minutes. You can do it in the field, actually. Then the other more exciting discovery and advancement is by using the RNA structure, we can fold the structure like a cage, and then we can make a tailor-made cage for different types of antibiotics. And then once they have this specific binding, it will light up. Then we can put them this poke for different types of antibiotics in a petri dish like this. And then you just put your sample, like a fish blood or water sample, into different hole like this. After 2 hours of reaction, then we use our cell phone, take a picture. Then it can tell you how much, what are the concentration of different kinds of antibiotics present in the samples. Then the whole process only will take 4 hours at maximum. And then the cost is only less than $2 per sample. Currently, when we measure antibiotics in seawater, it may take at least 2 days because we have to extract the sample and then run the very high sophisticated chemical analysis using chromatography with mass spec, LC-MS. That costs at least 15 times more money than using this new technology. So once we can mass produce these kits, then we can help the region to do rapid monitoring of both metals and also these antibiotics residues.
Yeah.
Over the Okay, so may I continue? So 5 years ago, we received $4 million from the government. Then we developed some kind of new wastewater treatment that not only increasing the efficiency for removal of pollutants, at the same time, we can harvest useful materials from nitrogen, phosphate, and also those volatile organic acid to make the biodegradable plastic. So then we also established a pilot plant. Turn out the results are very, very promising. More recently, we got another $4 million to look at antibiotic resistant genes distribution in different places and try to find the major source and use new technology to remove them from the system so that we can minimize the risk of having superblood causing harmful effect to the human and also wildlife. As you may know, currently we have about 5 million people die because of superblood. Then in the coming 5 to 10 years, the World Health Organization expects that this number will be doubled to 10 million per year. So we have to do something to identify the source of propagation, at the same time, find way to control them. Then in the third area, we try to look at how pollutants are affecting the ecosystem, how the ecosystem responds to that, and also other stress like climate change. At the same time, we also need to continuously monitor the health of our ecosystem. So we try to incorporate the technology to do in situ monitoring of the health of corals. And also we can now do the underwater mapping of different habitats using combination of new technology using robotics. Later on, I will show you more example. Another thing is we would like to try to enhance marine biodiversity using new technology. So this is a normal artificial shoreline. We have the web slope to act as a sea defense. Then now we can modify it with a new technology. We modify the shape and the materials in the concrete. We create some pool and also shading, also roughlets for different life to settle and use the habitat. We use this technology now. We can enhance the biodiversity, especially this kind of a low-tech technology using a oyster shell baskets. We can increase the biodiversity by 3 times. Now, normally in this web slope, you can only see 30 species around in Hong Kong, but now we can enhance the number of species up to 120 species using this simple technology. So we advise the government in the new reclamation projects like this one, the government going to build the first a very long eco shoreline, almost 4 kilometers long in Hong Kong for the first time. Instead of having just the conventional web slope seawall, then we'll modify them to having different habitat like a water holding tank area when there is a low tide, and also we have a mangrove plantation and so forth. So all this together, we can quickly enhance the marine biodiversity and also provide nursery to enhance the fishery resources. We receive a design award for this new eco shoreline. I hope in the future we can invite you to come to Hong Kong and take a look of this ecological seawall. And the project will be end by the end of next year. So after giving you example, now we can move on to a little bit touch on the history. As I said before, since the establishment of the MIRIT, then we start to work with PEMSEA to organize a training workshop every year. This is one we conduct in Manila. We also conduct a training in Hong Kong, Xiamen, and also every East Asian Seas Congress we participate and organize training session and also academic symposium within. So he is our founder of the Merit and Stay Lab, Professor Rudolph Wu. Then when I was young, I also joined in this 2009 training workshop in Manila. I was teaching there. So at the same time, we will find resources to bring people from the East Asian to come to Hong Kong to receive training. Every year we have some quota to receive trainers from the East Asian Sea area. So if you interest or your colleagues interest to come for short-term training from 3 to 6 months, please contact us. This one was done in collaboration with the United Nations. This one we just finished last year. We joined the EAS, and then we hold 2 collabs. One is for training on pollution assessment and management. The other one is an academic symposium on the latest discovery in marine environmental research. And turnout, there was a very good turnout, over 100 people joining us. So all in all, we have a long relationship with PEMSEA. That's why we were, the merit was recognized as the Regional Center of Excellence. However, we changed the name from merit to State Key Lab, and then State Key Lab is not in the system. This is the reason why we contact PEMSEA Director General. We would like to revitalize the closer relationship with PEMSEA. So we put forward State Key Lab to be a regional center of excellence. So now I would like to move on to talk about the training opportunities in the coming 5 years. In actual fact, I already sent you this table. Then for details, you can read the table. Now, I would like to use 1 or 2 minutes to just highlight some of the key events. Over the years, Professor Wu initiated this international conference on marine pollution and ecotoxicology since 1995. So we organized the last one in 2019. You can see a director with us. And due to COVID, we defer the organization of the next one. We would like to organize it in a face-to-face manner. That's why we postponed the ICMPE 10 to the early 2024, so that we can meet again physically in Hong Kong. So I will provide you more information about this important event. Over the years, in average, we have around 300 participants in this conference coming from 36 different countries. So another flagship international conference is called International Conference on Biodiversity, Ecology and Conservation of Marine Ecosystems. In short form, we call it BECOME. Then we just organized this second one early this year through a hybrid mode. Then this one also being endorsed by United Nations as the ocean, a decade of ocean science activities. So the third one, we're going to organize it by early 2026. On top of this scientific exchange, we also have more specific workshop or training. This one is, for example, in the region, we organize this scientific diving, especially for studying marine benthic dinoflagellants, teach people how to do the sampling and how to process the sample. This is this was needed by our associate director, Dr. Leo Chen. By the end of my talk, I will introduce to you my colleagues here. Then it turned out to be very, very successful and fruitful training. And then we can build the capacity in the region to study the impact of wet tide in the region. We're going to reorganize this in the coming 5 years so that we can build on this successful platform. At the same time, we also have this academic meeting about underwater research, underwater science. At the same time, since Dr. Liu Chen is a trainer for scientific diving, then during this academic workshop, we also train scientists to become scientific divers. So this is Dr. Liu Chen, our leader in this aspect, underwater research and also underwater scientific diving. So this is one of the training happening in Indonesia. So in terms of technology, now we work with engineer and also these how to say those modeling people to use different technology to map the habitats underwater, and then we can know the different types of habitat structure from seaweed to corals to rock, and then we can also identify the important habitat. Okay. Also, we can identify, measure those coral bleaching events. Then we can make use of different kind of imaging technology, and then using a computer program, we can map the habitat in a very detailed fashion. So we aim to organize this training in the coming 5 years as well. For instance, we introduced this underwater GPS system. Now we can map the very precise position underwater. And also this is a very safe system. When we have many divers doing survey, then through this iPad, we can understand where my body is. It's a very safe operation, even if the water turbidity is very low. So we're going to introduce new technology during our training workshop to our members. This is an example. So then when the diver moving, the GPS will be locked in the computer because it can locate the precise position underwater. At the same time, it took the image, then we gather with the computer programming, we can do the habitat mapping. So using different technology, we combine with computer modeling, then we can map the habitat, and then the data very useful for the management and conservation. Then you can use it to map different habitat from soft coral to hard coral to rock and seaweed habitat. So, okay, now, finally, I would like to introduce to you about our GEM program. So it would be easier for me to just show you a video. Let me change the pointer first. Okay.
Clean ocean is vital to ecosystem biodiversity and benefits human survival. Currently, there are 350,000 registered chemicals, and the use of them will inevitably result in their release into the marine environment. Pollution has no boundaries. Global trades have made chemicals ubiquitous. Most importantly, current research efforts only focused on a few countries, while many of the most polluted rivers locate in other countries and regions. What we know now is just the tip of the iceberg. There is an urgent need to assess the current pollution status of our aquatic environment. A standardized sampling and analytical method will improve the comparison of pollution status around the globe. The Global Estuaries Monitoring Program, GEM, aims to establish a global monitoring network by developing standardized methods to sample urbanized estuaries worldwide, quantify priority chemical contaminants, compare water quality among different estuaries, and provide training opportunities for pollution monitoring. The first phase of the study will be launched in the summer of 2022 in major urbanized estuaries in the Southern Hemisphere and extended to the Northern Hemisphere in the winter of the same year. We expect to publish a report after the completion of the first phase in 2023. GEM will reveal the global pollution situation, identify the estuaries that require improvement, and recommend priority contaminants for control. By working with global collaborators, we will promote best practices to combat the pollution problems and thereby creating cleaner estuaries for all. We are calling for global partners for sampling and $1 million donation for GEM operation. Visit our website for more information.
Okay. Let me move on. So in late 2020, the United Nations called for proposal for the UN Decade of Ocean Science for Sustainable Development. I believe many of you know about this program. Then we apply for this program. Our project is called Global Estuary Monitoring. In fact, it was an extension of our past project to monitor pharmaceuticals in 258 rivers in the world. That was a lead by Professor Alistair Boxall from UK. And then the project was very successful. We published the result in a journal called PNAS, and then we discover the major problems of this kind of drug pollutions in the world, especially in mid-low income countries where they have money to buy drugs, and also there is no regulation on medicine prescription, and also there is no infrastructure to treat the waste and wastewater. Then if we want to tackle drug pollution in the world, then we have to focus in those countries. This is one of the key findings that can help United Nations to address the pollution issues. Then we extend this program from rivers to estuaries. That was the idea. And also based on this UN Decades program, we have to gather all the stakeholders. We have to co-design the next phase of the study. So we will certainly address the SD goal 14.1 to prevent and reduce marine pollution of all kinds by 2050. The idea was very simple. We going to develop standard method and very simple method so that everyone can participate. And then they send the sample back to us. Then we do the analysis using the same method, allowing global comparison. At the same time, we will develop the benchmark, means how much we discharge will be harmful to the environment. Then we can set the water quality standard, and then we compare it to do the risk assessment. After that, we will gather all the stakeholders to find out the solution, what we can learn from each other to come up with solution to remove those chemicals from the river. So not just pharmaceuticals, we also interest in microplastic, metals, and other types of chemicals of emerging concern. So, for example, we're going to use a very simple device. For example, this one we developed, Professor Wu developed many years ago called artificial muscle. It is a very effective method to monitor heavy metals. We're going to give out to these 100 countries partner, then including those from the East Asia, then deploy them through a standard method. Then we collect them. Then we can do the analysis of the metals. And then we can also use this called ODG DGT device. It can target to say different types of pollutants. Then we will collect them back from the partners and then do the analysis. Currently, we are doing a collection of oysters from different parts of the world. We have done the first phase in the Western Pacific. Then we will extend the project to other regions as well. After having the data, we will gather everyone together to share the information, and then we will find out the solution together. So now I'm happy to answer any question. Thank you once again for giving me a chance to share our plan with you. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Professor Liang, for very interesting and informative presentation. This is very exciting. You know, the stuff that is ongoing at your university or your institute. Is there any questions from the floor for Professor Liang? Yeah, okay, hold on.
I would also like to take this opportunity to introduce my colleagues. The first one is Dr. Leo Chen. Leo, please.
Hello. Yeah, good morning, everyone.
He is an expert working on wet tide, harmful algal blooms, and also underwater research. And then he is a trainer for scientific diver. At the same time, he helped the Hong Kong government to do the underwater habitat mapping, as well as studying the coral reef health and also the fish biodiversity in coral reef and so forth. Then we also have a team from our office to help us to organize all the training, including Dr. Phoebe Wan and also Dr. Sai Yin and also Miss May and also Dr. Henry He, and also Dr. Jia Jun Wu. All of them are the heroes, so they help us to organize those training events. Thank you very much. So Leo, would you like to supplement?
Yes, I'm very happy to join this meeting. Although this is my first time to join the meeting, but I do feel that we have many collaboration in the future. My family came from Indonesia, so in fact, I'm an Indonesian Chinese. I born in China, but grew up in Hong Kong. As you can see, many of our training is conducted in Philippines. So I went to Philippines regularly before COVID to PG for technical diving training. And also, you can see we have organized the Westpac training workshop in Thailand because we have very good connection with Westpac and PNLC. So I think this kind of training, I think is very important for the Asian countries. And also we have a very good relationship with Vietnam, the VAS. So we are helping them to develop the regional training and research center in the Institute of Oceanography. So you can see that although I'm new here, but we have already, I thought that I belong to this family. So thank you for the invitation. And also Xiamen University, congratulations to Tsinghua for the vice president. And I think we have many exciting work can be work together in the future to make a stronger Asia. So I think this is very important. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Leo, and also Professor Leong. Madam Chair, if I may, I would like to add to Professor Leong's point.
Sure.
Okay.
Go ahead.
Thank you, Madam Chair. So as a former RCOE who is waiting for formal redesignation, they are waiting currently for the decision of the 14th East Asian Seas Partnership Council meeting this July. They have actually done various collaborations within the PEMSEA network in the past. For instance, SKLMP, when it was still Merit, collaborated with the Marine Science Institute of the University of the Philippines, another RCOE, on the application of artificial muscle technology, the one mentioned by Professor Leong a while ago, for heavy metal monitoring in various areas in the Philippines. They also organized a training course on contaminant analysis and risk assessment in the marine environment, which resulted in a collaborative research between Merit and Burapha University, present today, concerning the application of this artificial muscle technology for heavy metal monitoring in Bang Sayan Beach in Sayan Sok Municipality, Thailand. And then another accomplishment owing to Merit's engagement in PEMSEA was multi-million funding awarded to Batangas Environmental Laboratory in the Philippines for upgrading the laboratory as a result of the application of knowledge gained from Merit. Those are just some of the accomplishments made by Merit as RCOE during the past years, and so we look forward to future collaborations with them, whether it is in the auspices of GEM program or other collaborative training. And on this note, talking about the formal redesignation of SKLMP, I'm also pleased to inform everyone that we also have pending PNLC membership applications from other universities within the region. We have here a pending application from Catanduanes State University, Philippines. They have already submitted their application and their application is currently being reviewed by the technical committee of the PEMSEA Resource Facility. De La Salle University Dasmariñas, Philippines, which is one of the technical partners of the ASEANO project of PEMSEA Resource Facility, has also submitted their application for PNLC membership. De La Salle University Dasmariñas is one of the partners of the ASEAN-Norwegian Cooperation Project on local capacity building for reducing plastic pollution in the ASEAN region. And this is a project that will be concluding this year. They have helped out with the Philippine component of this regional project. That will be all on my part, Madam Chair, unless Amy here has other thoughts on the matter or further updates.
So I do have a question. So are you inviting collaborators at this point? Because I think for the GEM project, are you still accepting?
Yes. We are accepting partners. Yeah.
Okay, and then
we welcome people from anywhere to join.
Okay. Okay.
And then you go to our website and you can fill in a questionnaire. Because we would like to see how much you can contribute. For example, whether you can help us to do sampling with boat. If you cannot, then that means the sampling restrict by the coastal line. Then we would like to learn about the capacity and also whether you can share your data. Then we are planning to write a review paper for different regions together. Then if people can provide data, we can make a very nice review. Just for example, there may be over 50 questions. It may take 20 minutes to answer all. So, but it's important because we can have a better planning. For the sampling in the North Hemisphere, it will start in winter, so we still have time to recruit more members from the region. Yeah. In this summer, we will start the sampling in the southern part of the planet Earth. So you are most welcome to join us. Thank you.
Thank you. And then for the training, maybe people could write to you guys and sort of get more detail if they're interested in training opportunities, either by your established program or some new funding opportunities in their respective countries, maybe.
Yes.
Okay.
Thank you.
Excellent. Great. Is there anything you'd like to, any thoughts? Amy, do you have any comments on this?
No, I think it's all good. I mean, I'm glad that the learning centers are talking. I will be talking to each other as well. But just so we are also coordinated in our efforts, while we would, encourage bilateral learning exchange or plurilateral, it would be good to keep the PEMSEA Resource Facility as the interim secretariat informed about these exchanges, so we can keep track of what's going on and how successful, or what are the modalities that are happening between learning centers and universities as well. So we keep the the network and the regional nature of such. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, so a lot of opportunities to look forward to. Thank you so much, Dr. Liang and his team, for very exciting and informative presentation. And now I would like to proceed with the next item on the agenda. Now that we are closing to the end, I'd like to invite the incoming chair, the incoming president, to give some thoughts on the next step and close this meeting. Dr. Jan Wittner, if you're ready, I'll turn the floor to you. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Dr. Wang Suks. Good morning, everyone. Dear all of the PEMSEA Network Executive Committee, PRF, PNLC member, PNLG Working Group, staff, and all of the participants also from Hong Kong City University this morning that was present. I know this to starting for me and Dr. Fang to work as a new leader in PNLC 2022 until 2025. I know many people contribute on ICM Coastal and Marine Program in East Asia, but this is PNLC, a strategic partnership for us in East Asia region. I can say PNLC is one of the best network of the learning center, particularly on coastal and marine management, and then we can contribute more for it. PNLC is our flagship to lead in global world for coastal and marine issues. Therefore, the participant and program of PNLC member will affect significantly to regional and global. This is also a good opportunity for us to join and take an opportunity, share expertise, student exchange, and research quality for researchers and institutions. This moment, as an incoming president of PNLC, I remind you and invite you, all of the PNLC members, to participate on tropical sea farming and ICM summer course that will be held by Center for Coastal and Marine Resource Studies, IPB University, that will start on early August 2022, and also some training like environmental sensitivity that will be held by SSMR also. I hope the summer course and training can be adopted as PNLC program for future to students, staff, and PNLG. I also thanks to Professor Kenneth Long from SKLMP City University of Hong Kong, that your presentation, this is as an opportunity for our learning center and institution in East Asia region. As a president and Dr. Fang, vice president, we encourage all of PNLC member to active on PNLC network, join on the meeting to give some share your program, and also PNLC member to contribute to PNLG member anywhere. We do the best for our PNLC, our institution, coastal and marine, student and community in East Asia region. I promise we will do the best, my ability for PNLC. Thank you very much. Good morning.
Okay, all right.
Thank you, everyone.
Okay, go ahead,
And that
Aaron. So we concluding this session. Is there anything else?
Madam Chair, if I may,
Go
I would
ahead.
just like to remind everyone to answer the post-meeting evaluation survey that is listed in the chat box. This is to guide the PRF as the interim secretariat of the PNLC in future general assemblies in terms of your evaluation of our secretariat services before and during this meeting. Thank you.
Okay, thank
Again,
you.
for any comments and questions on the code of conduct, kindly direct them to us on or before July 25. And for any questions and possibly calls for collaboration with SKLMP, feel free to direct them to us so that we can liaise with Professor Leong and his team from SKLMP. We have also listed down the website, the URL for their website on the GEM program. Once you are there at the homepage, you will see a link there to the survey that was mentioned by Professor Leong, getting to know your respective universities and how they can possibly contribute to the GEM program.
Okay, well, thank you everyone for your participation. I think we are arriving at the end of the meeting, and hopefully we will continue working, and then the new officers will assume their responsibility after this General Assembly. Thank you.
Thank you, everyone. Thank you, Madam Chair. Thank you, Payon, Dr. Fang, to our colleagues here in PRF, Professor Leong, to our
Thank you.
PNLC members. We have many of them here. Thank you so much to Burapha University, Cavite State University, IPB University, Coastal Ocean Management Institute of Xiamen University, De La Salle Pa, Royal University of Phnom Penh, Cambodia, UP Visayas, Xavier University, Ateneo de Cagayan of the Philippines, Marine Science Institute of the University of the Philippines, Prince of Songkla University, University of Da Nang, Vietnam, and of course, State Key Laboratory of Marine Pollution, the Ministry of Environment and Forestry, Indonesia, and of course, our current chair of the East Asian Seas Partnership Council, Mr. Arif Yuwono. Thank you so much, everyone. And again, don't forget to answer the feedback survey for today's meeting. We look forward to seeing you again in future PNLC activities. Have a good day, everyone.